Hi, welcome to Chapter 8. We're moving on to the nervous system, which is divided into two parts. So this would be Nervous System 1. Next module would be Nervous System 2. Also, we're going to reach back to resting membrane potential on Chapter 5 because you know this text has the basics in the earlier chapters. So we will be referencing back to that. So the nervous system is not wireless like the endocrine. The nervous system and the endocrine system work together. They're the ones that are sending signals to these cells to behave in a certain way. And the endocrine doesn't have wiring, but the nervous system really does. So this jumble of wires that you see here is kind of how I imagine some of these neurons and nerves to connect to each other in the most complicated way. To try and simplify it, we put it in terms of central nervous system, which is the brain and the spinal cord, ending here, and the peripheral nervous system. So those are all the nerves that are exiting from the spinal cord and going to your limbs, arms, legs, toes, all the way. That's all peripheral nervous system. So that's the major organization of how this wiring is organized. If we look at it in more detail, we would have the central nervous system here in red, where you have a series of neurons that are actually sort of connecting neurons. We're going to call them interneurons. And this peripheral nervous system has a section that's coming from sensory. So let's say this is your finger, and this axon is coming in to the central nervous system. That cell body could be just external to the central nervous system, but not halfway down your arm. I get that a lot. People think that we have neurons that are connecting one to another, to another, to another, and they are found all over your body. They are not. These cell bodies are found either in the central nervous system or very close to the spine. So this would be an afferent, meaning arriving to the central nervous system. It would then connect to an interneuron, and then it would exit. Efferent neuron is an exiting neuron coming over to a different part of the body. So here you could have, very sensitive mouse, you guys. Here you could have hit your finger. It's going to come into the spine, that message, and it's going to come back out again, and you're going to move that finger as quickly as you know how to get it out of whatever was pounding it. Okay, so that's the muscle that's going to be the effector organ, the one that's going to make a change after you felt something coming in. Afferent, arriving, efferent, exiting. This is just another slide talking about efferent and afferent. So there, coming in, sensation coming in from your skin. Here you would have another neuron in the middle, and then you would have the third neuron, which is the efferent, branching out to the muscle. That, as I'm saying here, the interneuron is not in the diagram. Further subdivisions of the nervous system look like this. In the blue, very simple. Central nervous system broken down into brain and spinal cord. That's easy, we got that. When it comes to the peripheral nervous system, it's a little more complex because we're going to divide it into what is sensory and what is motor. So if we come to what is sensory, well, it's where all your feelings are coming in. All sensation is coming into the central nervous system. But that too is divided into 1, visceral, and 2, somatic. So somatic is the example of the finger that got banged. Visceral is, what if that sensation is coming from the liver, from the pancreas? It's kind of different from coming from skeletal muscle in a limb. Okay, so that's one division. The next would be the motor division. And motor division would have also visceral motor and somatic motor. And the somatic motor is the one that would be voluntary. It's you get your finger and you move it. Get your foot, if you stub it, you're going to move it out of the way. A little more complicated when you get to visceral. We can call somatic 1 and we can do to here. And the visceral then needs to have some sort of switch, because if it's the motor division of something like the intestine, it really doesn't have the same mechanism of a skeletal muscle that can just move all of a sudden. So it's going to need a switch that does something like the parasympathetic, which tends to increase all sorts of metabolic actions, and the parasympathetic, which tends to decrease. So essentially, that's the fine-tuning. It's like, oh, a little bit more, oh, a little bit less. No, go a little faster, no, go a little slower. So it's those two switches that you have when it comes to visceral motor division. If I show you something like this, you whack your finger here with a hammer, and that's a sensory division, what are you talking about? Which one of these that we're talking sensory division? Would it be visceral sensory or somatic sensory? Somatic sensory. Skeletal muscle there involved. If you have the sensory division where it's visceral, it would be some sort of abdominal pain that you're not quite sure where it's coming from, but it's sort of in the vicinity of the abdomen. That's visceral sensory. And there's a lot of referred pain also, so that you really don't know what location this is coming from. In the motor division, you have somatic nervous system, which is voluntary. You move that foot out of the way when that hammer's coming down on it. And the visceral, involuntary, and maybe moving intestine, let's say. So the two divisions of that are parasympathetic and sympathetic. We start out with parasympathetic, which is often called the rest and digest or the rest and reproduce. They're the housekeeping functions of the body. It's keep that homeostasis at a non-excitable level. The sympathetic is a flight or fight response, where is often equated to a panic function, in where you have to decide whether this rustling in the bushes is truly a bear coming out at you, or it was just a deer that's running away from you. And so you are ready to either fight it, and you get strong and you move oxygen, you move everything towards your legs or arms to fight it, and flight is you're just going to run out of there. I don't really like that definition very much, even though that's what we hear all the time, because sympathetic doesn't just have to do with panic. It has to do with you changing posture. You're sitting down and you stand up, the sympathetic has to kick in, because all of a sudden that flow of blood needs to change now that you're standing up. You're also going against gravity, so your heart rate is going to change. And those are just minor adjustments that go on every minute of your life. And both of these, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, are going to duke it out. Yes, a little bit higher for the heart rate, no, a little bit lower. Now we need a little more oxygen, now we need a little less oxygen. So those two will always be switching back and forth. Are you sure you know your nerves? This causes confusion when we use the terminology nerve and neuron. So neurons that are traveling together make a nerve. Many of them together make a nerve. I could draw that. I could have a neuron axon, lots of axons like this. And this is where my cell bodies would be on this end, like this. Let's say I had lots of them. And they come to this other end. And this whole group of neurons that are traveling together are going to make a nerve. Fun fact, 45 miles of nerves that are wired through your body. That's pretty crazy. And they do form some tangles sometimes. the three main structures of the motor neuron, and I'm sure you've heard of this and you remember it from anatomy. You have the cell body, also called the soma, and it contains the nucleus, it contains all the organelles. You may not damage the cell body of a neuron because once damaged, that cell won't survive. Dendrites that are carrying the incoming information, the sensory information, and the axon, which is carrying the outgoing information and will often be coated by a myelin sheath. Axons, we have to remember, are one-way action potentials only. They will send electricity in one direction only. If we had to draw it, this is the best. We have a cell body with its nucleus. My mouse, very sensitive. And here is the axon with a sheath, that's the myelin sheath, and the dendrites found here. Dendrites attach to the cell body, and we draw them as if there were 10 of them, but really one soma can have hundreds of branching dendrites, like you see in the picture here. And each dendrite could connect to an axon of another neuron, so that's when you start to see that this tangle of these neurons is very complex and hard to study. What's a synapse? The synapse is a junction between two neurons where one is going to connect to the other. Now imagine all these dendrites. We have so many dendrites here, and all these dendrites connecting to other dendrites, so connecting to other axons. It gets very complicated. So in my diagram, imagine those connecting and plus another one connecting and another connecting, so you could see how this increases in complexity as you start adding more and more neurons, each with hundreds or thousands of dendrites. I'm going to stop this mini lecture here, and then what we'll do is continue on with those dendrites and how they connect from one cell to another. So thanks for listening. I'll stop there.